Welcome everyone. My name is Kevin Reeuqjik. As Nick said, I'm the Senior Principal Sales Engineer for Puppet for the Europe region. And I've been working on integrations for ServiceNow for about a year now. One of them I built myself, others are built by the engineering teams within Puppet. And we have a whole lot of very interesting things to show you today. So you're probably well aware of what ServiceNow is. But just in case you're not, ServiceNow is one of the leading IT service management and IT operations management platforms on the market. It is one of the first all-cloud platform as a service solutions in this space, with competitors being mostly on-premise or partner-hosted solutions. Good ITSM platforms give you a shared data model to replace lots of individual tools, spreadsheets, databases, email processes, etc. Everyone can work from a single source of truth, and every process can be governed by a single tool. The core ITSM offering of ServiceNow is made up of these 5 components. So there's a CMDB to track all your IT assets. There's request management to enable self-service to users via self-service catalog. There's change management to document and approve planned changes. Incident management to document and track service disruption. And then problem management to track known issues. Now, these processes that stem from ITIL are closely related to the activities that Puppet performs in your infrastructure. And a way to look at this is where Puppet takes action to execute a change. The process around it, from definition to approval, is governed by ServiceNow. Therefore, we can think of ServiceNow and Puppet as opposite sides of the same coin. The vast majority of Puppet's customers have ServiceNow in place, and they work mostly in parallel. That also means that some information today is often duplicated across both platforms, and some level of manual effort is involved to get information of one platform into the other. And over time, several of our customers have built their own integrations to make this more efficient. But more generally, supported integrations have been a long-standing desire from our customers. And so, well, today I'm happy to announce that the wait is over. We've been working very hard to connect ServiceNow and Puppet in several different ways, making it easier to share data between both platforms. We work with our customers to determine the specific areas where bidirectional data sharing and automation is needed, and develop integrations that cater to those needs. And so we're going to have a look at 3 brand new integrations that are available for you today. And we're announcing a 4th integration that we plan to deliver in the future. So available today are an integration that allows you to use ServiceNow as a self-service front end for controlling Puppet automation, an integration that connects planned Puppet changes to the ITIL change management process in ServiceNow, and an integration that sends change events to ServiceNow for correlation and analysis, generating incidents when needed. And then planned for later is an integration to update the ServiceNow CMDB with data from Puppet, but we'll come back to that at the end. So let's start with self-service. There's a very good reason for why you'd want an integration like this, because not everyone in the company knows how to use Puppet to automate changes. And there's probably a fairly limited amount of people in your company today that directly work with Puppet. Others would likely benefit from using Puppet as well, but expecting everyone to get properly trained to do so is unrealistic. So we need to make it far easier to leverage Puppet, which is what this integration intends to do. In a nutshell, the integration allows you to use ServiceNow as a friendly user interface to control either all or parts of your Puppet automation. For the most user-friendly experience, you can simply create custom fields on your CMDB table for anything you'd like to give users direct control over. For example, like additional packages that can be installed at will, or OS kernel settings, application tuning parameters, you name it. This data can then be easily acted upon inside your Puppet automation. You can allow direct changes to the fields provided, or make them read-only and use ServiceNow workflows to allow controlled modifications only. The way this integration works is that we read the fields for a system directly from ServiceNow and then expose the information as a fact. That makes the content directly usable in your Puppet code as input for your automation. You remain in complete control over what happens. Now, for the utmost level of self-service, you can also create a Puppet environment and a Puppet classes field in ServiceNow and turn it into a fully fledged node classifier. The integration provides built-in logic to parse those two specific fields, converting the data into proper Puppet classes and high-raw data automatically. However, direct control for users over this option would require a bit of Puppet knowledge, so direct control may not always be the best approach. A good alternative is to have these fields be read-only for users and then use, again, ServiceNow workflows to facilitate controlled modifications to the classification data. Actually, let me quickly show you. So here we have a Puppet environment and we have a ServiceNow environment, and I have some systems that I live in Puppet also as assets here, and you can see here that I've added a couple of additional fields, which with the form designer you can just organize in a tab like this, like Puppet automation, where I can control the environment that the machine lives in. I can directly assign additional classes. So for example, here, this is a sample website, and I have an enforced package where I also install Nano. So for example, if I change this to say, well, this particular package I don't need, and maybe I want to install an additional package like this. This gives me a really quick way of doing that. I can update it in ServiceNow, and then whenever the next Puppet run is, or again, you could use a workflow to automate that, that will update automatically. While this runs, we can see here that on the existing node, we can see here that there were already a bunch of HTTP resources in there because the web server role was added on this system. And so we can see that if we try to reach this machine, it is actually running a web server. So that's coming from the classification from ServiceNow. And that it has a package resource, Nano, right here, that is coming from that classification in ServiceNow to add that particular package. And if we then look at our latest run here, we can see that with those ServiceNow changes we made, that uninstalled Nano and it installed Redis, for example, exactly as we selected here on our machine in ServiceNow. So really easy control directly from ServiceNow. Don't have to learn any Puppet. All right. So next one, enriched change management. So for most of our customers, Puppet is their primary change execution platform. And for many of those customers, ServiceNow is their primary change registration and approval platform. Naturally, this should be one interconnected solution. That's exactly what this integration provides. This one is all about the handoffs between one platform to the other and vice versa. When you propose a Puppet code change, this integration automatically generates a ServiceNow change request from the Puppet impact analysis report. Once the change request has been approved and reaches the implement stage, the integration lets ServiceNow orchestrate the promotion of the change into production. This integration eliminates a number of manual steps in the change process, enabling greater efficiency and improved change documentation and faster cycle times. This integration is built in the continuous delivery for Puppet Enterprise add-on, or CD4PE. And it uses its impact analysis feature to generate relevant details that need to go into the ServiceNow change request. So no more manually copy-pasting data to do so. The integration interacts with ServiceNow change management, with the change management API, to create the change request and associate affected systems to that change. The integration also provides a business rule for ServiceNow to automate the promotion of the Puppet code into production. It can even approve deployments for protected environments in CD4PE for an additional layer of security. So let's have a look at what that looks like. So I did a code change here. In my code, I have, let's see, I added a little bit of code here to start managing the Puppet service, make sure that it's running. And we can see that in CD4PE, that triggered a pipeline, that code commit, but this pipeline only runs up to this point. So it validates my code, it does a deployment to some test nodes, it performs an impact analysis, and the impact analysis is on my production environment. And then it does a change request to ServiceNow. So here we're leveraging a new integration to use a custom deployment policy to interact with ServiceNow and create a change request based on our impact analysis. And then if we look in ServiceNow, if we go to the change request section, we can see that there's now a new change request here, which has the same git commit message that was in the git code commit. It's saying that it wants to promote this to stage 5, which is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the deploy to production stage. We can control that all from here. So we can say this is the stage that we want to promote to from ServiceNow after it's approved. And we can see that priority, risk, impact is all here. It is connected to an assignment group. It's waiting for approval. The risk and impact analysis field is automatically filled in. So we can see the affected nodes here, that the impact analysis is done, but we automatically feel that this is a safe change based on that we are able to analyze this change. There's no nodes that failed. It's below thresholds of which make this a risky change. And we get a link to the impact analysis directly, so that if we want to see more details, we can just visit that and see exactly what kind of changes would be in this impact analysis and dive deeper in exactly what's going to happen. So here my nodes in production are going to get the Puppet service under management. And then we can see that the affected machines that we saw are now also associated to this ticket. So we get automated and direct impact inside of the change management request. None of this has to be done manually anymore. Now, if I go to the approval flow, so here we're just leveraging whatever is the approval flow in ServiceNow. I'm using the out-of-the-box one, but if you have anything custom, that is also completely fine. So I'll run this through the change board approval. And now this ticket is ready to be either scheduled for implementation, or we can implement it right now. For the sake of time, let's implement it right now. So I'll put in the implement. And then it reaches the implement stage, and that starts the orchestration to automatically interact back with CD4PE to promote the change. So we can see that there's now new events in CD4PE, and these deployments to production require additional approvals. And so we can see that ServiceNow is interacting, and ServiceNow has also approved the change going into production. So we can fully secure this and only give that particular account permissions to do so, so that nobody else can accidentally push code into production. It all has to go through the ServiceNow flow. And we can see that all of this gets nicely tracked inside of ServiceNow. So we can see in the work notes that there are 2 deployments, that they require approvals. We track them through completion. And if all of that completes successfully, it also automatically will set this ticket to be successful and change it to the review phase, where you can close it with a single button. So here we can see this completed successfully. It sets the close code to successful. And if we quickly, here we go, refresh our ticket, we can now see that we can close our ticket right now. And our Puppet code has been fully deployed into production. So ready for everyone to use. Super useful. All right. Then let's take a look at registering incidents from change events. Now, while the previous integration deals with planned changes, intentional changes, this integration is for compliance drift corrections, changes that were made to bring a system back to the correct configuration after it drifted out of compliance, basically known as corrective changes in Puppet. Since there is no way to know when this happens, the traditional change management process is not suited for this scenario. Instead, this should be documented as an event, and an incident should be created if the circumstances warrant it. This is definitely best left for robots to do instead of humans. So with this integration, Puppet forwards summary data of Puppet run results to ServiceNow. And this can be done in the form of basic incidents when a corrective change occurred. And this is better, you can send the information as events to ServiceNow Event Management. In the latter case, you can create your own event rules and correlate events, and then create consolidated incidents when certain thresholds are crossed. This way, where there will be a single incident for the same change happening on multiple systems. This integration comes in the form of a Puppet report processor that automatically analyzes incoming run reports for changes and failures. In its basic mode, it will create an incident whenever the corrective change or failure occurs on a system. In its advanced mode, it will send events to ServiceNow Event Management so that you can more finely control what happens to these events, when alerts are generated, and if that should result in the creation of an incident. So let's take a look at that. Here we can see that with this integration enabled, we will receive events here in ServiceNow as soon as there are activities inside of Puppet. Currently only on Puppet runs. In the future, we will also create events based on, for example, when you run a task. And these events will contain the information of, okay, what kind of change was this? Here it was a machine that was actually had a change, but this was an intentional change. There were no corrective changes here, which means that that's okay, that's fine, that's all expected, and we can see the changes that happened in this particular run. So we give you an abstract of the relevant information that you want, and then you can forward a set of facts with this. This is customizable of what exactly you want to send. And all of this information is also provided as machine readable data. Now we're still working on this integration. It's in alpha today, but we will be adding, for example, the resources that get changed as part of the machine readable data as well, which means that this becomes really useful in the correlation rules. So in the correlation rules, and all this is all standard ServiceNow functionality. If we search for our Puppet rules, so here, for example, I have a rule that if it's a Puppet OK event, if it's something that doesn't warrant an alert, that automatically gets disabled. And then, for example, here's my rule that correlates changes. So I can filter for rules where it contains corrective changes. That's the one that I'm interested in. And then automatically correlate based on specific values that we're sending. Right now, I'm just collecting everything that's of the same severity for the same environment. But once you get the changes in here, you will be able to correlate on the same change, for example, and then set a threshold. Then when there's more, 4 or more of those events happening within a 5-minute time span, then automatically create an alert for that. And so I ran a task to automatically, I ran a task that stopped the Puppet service. And then I let that run, let the Puppet run happen. And we can see that if we get the latest events here, that we're starting to receive warnings that the Puppet agent was changed from stop to running. Right now we can see that these are below the thresholds. We only have 2, but when this reaches 4, that automatically creates an alert. And so this is how you can then manage this in a much more straightforward way and have your own control over what happens and when this bubbles up to the alerts field here. No alerts yet, but when that happens, you have a much more centralized space, and then from there you can quickly create an incident, for example, or do other stuff depending on what is happening. So really useful to have this capability here. Then finally, I have one more integration to announce. This integration is not yet ready. It's planned for the future. This one is intended to provide a better way to keep your CMDB up to date without having to resort to frequent discovery runs with some other tools. So the biggest struggle of maintaining a CMDB is to keep the information up to date. Outdated CMDBs have been a problem for many organizations and have given rise to discovery and inventory add-ons like ServiceNow Discovery. However, such tools often run agentlessly and are known to cause a performance impact or stability problems on the systems they interrogate. As a result, customers don't like running these tools frequently. By contrast, Puppet already knows everything about the system it manages and stores that information in its own database. Updating the CMDB in ServiceNow directly from Puppet's database would be a lot more efficient compared to agentless discovery tools. Puppet automatically collects information about the systems it manages as part of its normal enforcement runs. So software inventory, standard facts about the hardware and operating system, and any custom facts you create yourself. So basically, Puppet already knows all the data that you're interested in. This integration will allow you to select which data you'd like to send to ServiceNow for updating existing CIs. This reduces the scope for ServiceNow Discovery to just finding new or rogue systems on the network. On the Puppet Enterprise side, a task will periodically gather the latest information from the Puppet database and upload it to a staging location on a ServiceNow mid server. On the ServiceNow side, a Puppet app, which we will publish to the ServiceNow marketplace, periodically processes the uploaded data and then updates the fields in the CMDB as necessary. So the 3 integrations I discussed earlier are available right now as modules on the Puppet Forge. Actually, the automated incident registration is about to be published. It's not yet there, but it will be shortly. And they come with clear instructions on how to set up each integration. The CMDB update integration will be delivered as an app in the ServiceNow marketplace, probably somewhere in 2021. So stay tuned for more info on that as we move forward. And that's all I'd like to show for this presentation. If you have any questions on this presentation, we can answer a couple right now. I have a couple minutes left, and otherwise ask them in the Slack channel, and we can answer them there as well.
Kevin, thank you very much for that excellent presentation. One quick question for you. What are the minimum requirements in order to implement the Puppet Enterprise and Snow integration?
So on the Puppet Enterprise side, we recommend you need to run at least 2019.5 or higher to leverage the CMDB integration. It can be a little older than that for the other ones, but the CMDB integration uses a feature that is only in that one. So we recommend everyone to be on the latest LTS for the PE side. If you want to leverage the change management integration, that means that you need to have the CD4PE add-on to Puppet Enterprise. On the ServiceNow side, we've tested this all the way back to ServiceNow Madrid. Madrid, New York, Paris, and Orlando, I believe, are all working with these integrations. So on the ServiceNow side, there's relatively few needs. If you want to take advantage of the event management integration where it's sent as events, not as incidents, then you need the ServiceNow event management add-on on the ServiceNow side.